the CEO of the Sheboygan County Chamber of Commerce. And I want to say thank you to Dean Dekker as well as Joseph Vugrinovich for joining us today to be a part of this conversation. Dean is the incumbent for District 6 for Common Council in the city of Sheboygan, and Joseph is running in that district as well. So thank you both for being a part of the conversation and for your willingness to serve in this capacity, because it's not, public office isn't for everybody. So we appreciate your willingness. We will go ahead and get started with just going over the ground rules quickly. So I will give each of you 2 minutes to do an introduction, tell us who you are, and then we will go back and forth with some questions. We will offer 2 minutes per question for you to respond. There is a timekeeper in the house, so they'll give you a cue as to when maybe your time is getting close to being up, so you can start to wind it down. And if at any point after answering, if the other party would like to respond in any way, I'll give you an additional 30 seconds to respond to your opponent. Any questions before we get started?
No.
No?
I think I'm good.
Okay, perfect. So Dean, if you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us who you are.
Sure. I'm Dean Dekker, current alderperson from District 6. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Sheboygan. I have a wife, Deborah, and 3 children, all grown. Two reside in the city. One resides in Sauk City. They're all, the youngest is 28, my daughter, and my oldest son is 43. I've enjoyed being on the council now this is my 6th year. I've been elected as the leader, as the president of the council this last year. And we've had some very exciting and new things coming through. We have a new city administrator we hired this past year during that time. We also hired a new planning and development director. I look forward to hopefully continuing on in that capacity.
Great, thank you so much, Dean. Joe, could you tell us about yourself?
Hi, my name is Joseph Vugrinovich, and I'm currently running against Dean Dekker for District 6 Alderman. I have no current relations with this particular part that I'm doing, but I'm hoping to make sure that I can do it the best I can. I'm currently working full-time, 2 jobs, and I'm hoping to make the best of it as much as I can.
Thank you so much. And Joe, we'll start with you. In leadership positions, especially in public office, there will be times when you're expected to make decisions with limited information. Can you tell us how you go about making decisions on topics that you might be less familiar with?
Well, for instance, I have been a leader in most cases as being a supervisor where I used to work, but in this particular reasons, I have not much leadership in my case with this alderman thing. But if, for instance, I would be able to do it, I would just make the best of what I can. Not exactly sure what I'm supposed to be doing, but it would be the best to my knowledge.
Thank you, Joe. Dean.
Well, in the leadership position I am now as being president, we've gone through several different things, and generally I lean on city staff to get the answers that I can, try to check with members of the community where it's applicable and where it's possible. Sometimes some things you have to be careful about what you say. You can't say certain things about certain projects that are possibly coming up that you have to, sometimes you have to be a little bit, you have to be careful with what you say, because you don't want to tip your hat or say what's going on sometimes because of negotiations and things like that. So, but usually it's generally just educating yourself when you get the the problems brought to you, you work through it and try to find different research and things like that.
Great, thank you so much. And so, Dean, we'll start with you on this next one.
Sure.
You know, what element of our city government currently do you believe is most effective, and why?
What element of our city government? I guess right now I'm going to lean right in on the city administrator. We've got a really good one right now. I think he's moving forward on a lot of great projects. I think we're working through probably meeting the biggest challenge that we have in this community, which is housing. He's been working on a lot of housing projects, things like that. Also, I guess, to go beyond that, then also our DPW is also a big what best way to put it, but the street projects that we have coming forward and things like that. We have got a lot of street projects coming through, because that is probably one of the biggest concerns that the citizens have, and I guess that would be my answer on that.
Thank you, Dean. Joe, what element of our city government do you believe is most effective currently, and why?
I believe that the most effective element that we have going on right now is the housing. There's not much of it here, especially for middle class. We're looking at affordable housing right now, but other than that, there's not much going on besides that. As far as I know, being the new person, I think that just the affordable housing part is just going to be our biggest and most effective element that we're going to have in the city of Sheboygan.
Thank you, Joe. And Joe, can you tell us, if elected in April, what is one part of city government that would receive more attention if you were in that role?
Well, if I was in that role, I think that the affordable housing part would be the most effective one. Also, besides that, I'm looking at maybe getting some amusement stuff going on, some entertainment that we need around Sheboygan in order to gather up all the people that are coming through. We are looking forward to having a bigger community and a stronger community than what we've had before.
Great, thank you. Dean, what one part of city government would receive, or will receive, or would receive more attention if you were reelected?
I guess there's not really one particular part of city government that would receive any. I think all aspects are important. As I said, the housing is a very big important thing, bringing in new housing and things like that. But you also don't have to you have to also look at the services that go along with that. The police and fire that need to be kept up to match up with the increase in more people and things, the added housing and things like that. You need more infrastructure, DPW, because you're adding more streets and things like that because of the added areas. So I don't think there's really one particular thing. I think it's just making sure that we do a good balance of things and take care of it from there.
Great, thank you so much. And so we know that cities need to grow and expand their tax base to survive. Mm-hmm. So Dean, can you talk a little bit about your experience and how you've supported development and redevelopment in the city? And specifically, could you speak to South Point Enterprise Campus, which has largely sat vacant for several years? If reelected, what would you do to encourage development in that space?
Since I've been on the council, we have encouraged a lot of construction around the city. As you can see, there's a lot of, like I said, and a lot of it is with housing. Housing is what we need to bring also businesses into South Point. But I think a more aggressive campaign and possibly to bring businesses in would be helpful. I think that the I'm always good at this, but I think that the affordable housing is probably going to be the biggest thing that's going to help bring in more, because without employees, it's going to be hard for someone to bring in a company if there's not employees here. We actually did lose an expansion of one of our businesses because of lack of employees. So that's one of the things that needs to happen, is we need to bring affordable housing so that we can bring employees in, so that we can bring employers in to help fill in that campus.
Thank you. Joe, so as I mentioned, cities need to grow and expand their tax base to survive. So how would you support development and redevelopment in the city of Sheboygan if you were elected into this position?
Well, like Dean said, that the affordable housing part will be the biggest thing to bring in, and then try to get people to come to work. But we also need to upgrade our businesses along with it. We can't have just the small businesses around. We need to start bringing in some bigger business to accommodate for that tax purposes. With the small ones, we're not really having that much of a tax area to even build up. But if we get some bigger businesses with it, we might just have to work around that with the affordable housing part too. So.
Great, thank you. So, Joe, it is no secret we've been talking about workforce and the lack thereof in our community. When managing public agencies, do you think that it is better to have more employees at a modest wage or fewer employees at a higher wage to attract quality applicants?
Well, that's a good question. Depending on the circumstances, I do believe that getting fewer people with higher wage, because of how the difference is in the past years where everything went up in price, that not too many people can afford what we have in Sheboygan. But if we bring in that part of the business, we're going to have to kind of eliminate some of the business or some of the people to make things work. Other than that, I don't see too much things that should be any different.
Okay, thank you. Dean?
Why read that again?
Sure. So talking about workforce, it's certainly been a struggle in our community.
Yeah.
When managing public agencies, do you feel it's better to have more employees at a modest wage or fewer employees at a higher wage to attract quality applicants?
I think it's really got to be a balance. It really does. I mean, there are certain positions that just have to be, lower wages, or that may have to be lower wages. But I think you need to be a fair wage on all counts. That has to be a fair wage that's brought through. But I think you also higher wages help the affordability of things around here. And as things are increasing in prices, the wages have to go along with that, with those increases with that. I think that but I think there really does, it's somewhat of a balance of both. I think you need, it has to be, it can't just be one particular, just high wage jobs. I think the higher wages are better, but there are some positions that are going to be lower wages also.
Thank you so much. And Dean, we'll start with you. With a series of impending lawsuits relating to HR situations, what can the City and Common Council do, or what programs could be installed moving forward to avoid similar future lawsuits?
I think training and things like that. I don't think that necessarily the lawsuits that are in current were necessarily a lack of training or but I think that the proper training with our HR, I think a little bit maybe better vetting of our employees before we even have them, so that we know what we're getting into. I think a little more employee review, going through things, making sure that we're getting a better communication from employees and things like that. I think that's probably about the best way to handle that.
Thank you, Dean. Joe, with a series of impending lawsuits relating to HR situations, what do you think the City and Common Council could do, or what programs could be installed moving forward to avoid similar future lawsuits if you were in that role?
That's kind of a long, hard question for me, knowing that I don't know anything about the lawsuits that were going on beforehand. But if I would have to say anything, it would have to be probably just for safety reasons is one that we should have come in for HR to possibly work out. I'm not sure exactly what else I can say about it.
Okay. Thank you. So, Joe, I'll direct this to you first. What amenities do you think that the city is currently missing? And what would you do to work towards bringing them to the city?
Ooh, it's another good question. Honestly, the city's not technically missing anything really, minus the fact that we have, like I said before, the affordable housing. We're missing that. Like I said, most of these places we have here right now is kind of high, but the affordable housing brings in this will make it a little bit better. And we're also missing more people coming in to address their uses of how the city runs. I think we're a good community that I don't think it's really missing too much.
Okay, thank you. Dean?
I would say the amenities that we maybe are lacking a little bit of is somewhat of a things for like younger people, attractions and such like that you can bring down. I think I would like to see something like a indoor, like a bounce house type thing. Like I know we did have that. I think something similar to that coming back for families to use, things like that to do in the winter time. I would like to see us possibly look at an outdoor skating rink for in the wintertime also. I think a skating rink would be, I think it's something from my youth. I mean, there were skating rinks all over town. It would be nice just to have like a central one. I think a lot of places have had that, and I think it's good exercise, good to get people out and do things like that. I think some nightlife downtown, possibly, like a nightclub type of thing, and that some things that would be good for it. I think the work that we're looking at also doing in the marina area to bring people in. We're studying that to see what we can do to make that area more amenable. So there's some things that we can do around town. So.
Great, thank you. And that was a great lead into my next question, Dean.
Oh, great.
Don't be scared. There have been some recent changes in management of the Harbor Center Marina, which is owned by the city of Sheboygan, closing that pool area, restaurant/bar, and the store that was in that building. What do you believe is the next best course of action to revitalize that area, and how can the city better activate and enhance our waterfront?
That's a great question, actually, and it's something that we are working on. We've just hired a firm to work through, to study what exactly and give us ideas. And along with that, we're going to be asking the citizens of Sheboygan what their feelings are on that, because I think this is going to be, it's a community area. I think it should be more of a community area than what it is now. I think that the marina itself has been a burden on the taxpayers, and we'd like to make it not a burden on the taxpayers. We'd like to make it something that's that we can look forward to. I mean, it's 30 years in, and we still owe several $1 million yet on that from the initial build. So what I would like to see is something that's going to be less of a burden on the taxpayers, but more available to more people, so that it's not just like an exclusive area just for a certain group.
Thank you, Dean. Joe, so there have been some recent changes to the Harbor Center Marina, and which is owned by the city, closed the pool area, restaurant, bar, and the store inside that building. What do you believe is the next best course of action to revitalize that area, and how do you think the city can better activate and enhance our waterfront?
Well, as much as I know about what's going on with that part of the area, I would have to look into it more to find out what's happening and what their plans were. But, I mean, it's a nice attraction. Other than that, it's just something I have to look into before I can even answer most of that question.
Okay. So let me ask a different question then. Maybe if we could have amenities at the waterfront that you or your family, your friends would use, what would that look like? What sorts of amenities to activate that waterfront area do you think would be beneficial?
I'm not quite sure. I think that in that type of area, I would say mostly we can be possibly having some like attraction in there for kids to do besides the swimming park, but we need something more in there for mostly kids. Considering there's already a bar and a restaurant, we like that area, but I think the kids need some amusement for themselves, like video games or like a bounce house part or something like that.
Okay, thank you. Joe, I'll start with you on this one. So we've talked a lot about facing a housing crisis on all levels. So if elected to the Common Council, what would you do to help facilitate meeting the needs of housing in our area?
Well, for starters, I think utilizing buildings that's been vacant for so many years, we haven't touched it at all. There's a lot of things we can do with utilizing those buildings, just like we did with the Badger lofts and stuff like that, because that was a really big asset to what we have here for affordable housing. I think besides utilizing the buildings, I think we can like maybe expand out a little bit more. North side needs a little bit more housing, all the way out by where they're building those new apartments right now, out by Walmart area. I think getting some more out that way would help out a little bit for the community.
Thank you. Dean.
Well, I would continue on with the path that we've taken so far, and because we are on a strong path towards a lot of affordable housing. What we also need to do is look at the tier of housing. Some people complain about some of the high-end housing that we do that we have brought in. Some of the like the thing that does is it kind of brings the tiers down. Maybe like I guess a good example of that would be like when and this is going back 10, 15 years, but when the senior living housing that's over where the section that burned down, I remember the name of it, when that was built, a lot of the people that moved into there, that bought those condos and things like that into there, were existing homeowners. So they sold their whole homes, which opened up more housing in the city, which brought in more, more things for that. I think we need to continue on like we are with the areas like the Gartman Farm, area. There's going to be, that's going to be a mix of all different kinds of things. It's going to be affordable single-family homes. It's going to be apartments. It's going to be townhouses. It's going to be a great mix of things. I think we need to continue to look at things like that, and also look at other older buildings. We have done that now in the past. The Sheboygan Press building is currently being made into things, and I guess the next areas that we can continue on with is I think it's a mix of things all the way around. I mean, it's going to be a mix of affordable and higher end, and I think that brings everything closer.
Thank you. And Dean, we'll continue on that a little bit. Certainly talking about the housing crisis in Sheboygan, I would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about short-term rentals or Airbnbs, Verbos. Where do you stand on short-term rentals, and are you aware of how this is affecting the local area?
I have been made aware of a lot of this. The one thing right now, we are currently on all these development agreements on these newer apartments that are being built and things like that, that is being built into the development agreement that they cannot be used for Airbnb or Verbos, or that they cannot be used for they cannot be used for short-term rentals. I guess that's not to be picking on any company, but they cannot be used for short-term rentals. That way, the new stock that is coming into use right now is being limited, so that we're not bringing in the stock. As far as the existing, there are a lot of state laws that do prohibit some things to do things like that. So I would be remiss to say exactly what we can do to help with that at all.
Thank you. Joe, where do you stand on short-term rentals in the city of Sheboygan, and are you aware of how this is affecting the local area?
Well, I stand on that. I don't think it's that bad to have a short-term rental. Honestly, being a short-term rental, you can bring people in short-term to see how they like it, where they stand at. If they like the area that they're living in, or particularly the apartment. But if they like the city itself, I think short-term rentals will be great, and they can move on to long-term rentals as long as they like the area that they're in.
All right, and so Joe, we'll switch gears a little bit. What do you believe the city can do, or maybe do differently, that would help to grow and enhance engagement?
Well, there's numerous things that we can do, considering that this community in the city of Sheboygan is a very big area. We still got more potential to build it as a tourist town. Maybe we can bring something in for it. I think the attractions and the amusement will be the biggest part of it. But we have so much of potential for the city to build a stronger area that we can have that type of attractions.
Great, thank you. Dean?
Go through that one again.
Sure. What do you believe the city can do, or maybe do differently, to help grow and enhance engagement in the city of Sheboygan?
Not really sure exactly where we can go from on here. We are, I think you're right, I think the tourism is part of it, bringing in part of the engagement of it, but I mean, as far as, you're looking for like an engagement of like the citizens with the people, or?
Yes, I would say with the constituents. How do we activate the people of the city of Sheboygan?
Well, I think I think to encourage people to like be on like committees and things like that, because it's always great to have new people on like things like this. When we had the candidates the other night for that came for Alder for replacing Amanda Salazar's position, we encouraged all them to contact the mayor and say, hey, I'd like to maybe be on different committees. Like we're always looking for people that way. I think that's a good way for people to get themselves into government a little bit. I also think that we can, communication is sometimes a burden that we have, that we don't necessarily have great communication with it. There's not as many people that read the newspaper around that's here anymore. So I think communication is a key. If we can improve communication is probably a key of it.
Okay, great, thank you. And so as we're getting close to time, would love to hear some final thoughts. We'll start with you, Dean. What is your vision for the future of the city of Sheboygan? What changes would you advocate for, and why should people be voting for you?
Well, okay. As far as vision for the city, I believe that we can continue to grow. I think we need to, it's one of those things that we do need to do. We need to grow in all different ways. I envision, like I said, continuing in a tourism way, but also in a manufacturing way. We are still a manufacturing town. We still build things, and I think that's important that we continue to be a town that builds things. I think that we need to improve our housing stock, which we are working on, and I hope that we continue to work. I anticipate us working on continuing to do that. I believe that we could improve our, like I said, our entertainment options. So that's not always necessarily up to us. It takes businesses that wish to do things like that, but anything that we can do as a council and as a city itself to encourage those things, I think they're important. As far as why should vote for me, I guess my passion is always there, and I have been a leader in this city now for the last 6 years, and I think I've done a good job of doing that, and I hope that you will vote for me.
Thank you, Dean. Joe, so share with us your final thoughts. What is your vision for the city of Sheboygan? What changes would you advocate for, and why should people vote for you?
Well, we are on the track for a stronger area, a stronger community, but I think that we need to get more involved with the residents and the people of the Sheboygan County. We need to get them to be more involved with all the projects that are going on, their opinions on it. I think if we do that, I think that the city of Sheboygan might be a little bit stronger than it has been. Other than that, I think we need to just build up just the way we are, just keep it going, but add the people and the residents involved with everything else. If they come together and know what's going on, then we'll be a stronger, healthier city.
Great, thank you so much. And so again, I want to say thank you for your willingness to participate today. Thank you for your willingness to serve in this capacity. Wish you both the best of luck in this election cycle. Again, thank you to our annual sponsor, Prevea Health, who make sure that we have what we need in order to have this programming, and of course to our friends at WSCS for their partnership in filming all of these sessions. So we will return very shortly for our next round, talking with candidates from District 2.